Hi everybody, my name is Amelia and welcome back to my channel. So today I am finally filming a video that I had planned back in November and for whatever reason I'm just now sitting down to do it. But today's video is my tarot journal. I'm essentially just going to flip through some of the journal spreads I made and in the month of December, and all of them are revolving around tarot. So one thing that I used to do and then I kind of stopped doing was scrapbooking or junk journaling my tarot readings. I used to do it a lot and I filmed some of it, sometimes I didn't, and then I just kind of like stopped doing it and I kind of missed it. So I thought in the month of December I was going to go ahead and do it. And so yes, it is now late January or early February. I don't know which one it is, but I am finally showing you December's stuff. Now for those of you who don't know, I actually have quite a lot of scrapbooking, art journaling, junk journaling videos that I just put out into the web. So you can find a lot of them on my Pinterest. That's the main place where I post all of them, and so I will leave a link down in the description box below if you want to see more spreads. They're not all tarot related. I do have a Zodiac series, though you can also find the Zodiac series here on YouTube because long ago I used to film long videos of my scrapbooking process, and those videos are still up on YouTube on my channel if you guys are interested in them, though I've kind of cut back on doing that here on YouTube, but I still do it a ton on Pinterest, so I still scrapbook quite regularly because it's a creative outlet for me, and I've been trying to incorporate more spiritual elements into it to make it more of a spiritual practice, but a lot of that gets filmed and put onto Pinterest. While I do put some videos on TikTok and I do put some on my Indie Tarot Mystique Instagram page, specifically the spiritual ones, those platforms are not like where I'm mostly consistent. Here on YouTube and on Pinterest are kind of like my neck of the woods. But anyway, I figured I would give you guys those resources, those options, if you want to see more of my scrapbooking, art journaling content. Otherwise, I'll try to do some stuff here. If you guys like this stuff, please let me know. I'm thinking about doing this again for the month of February because I really enjoyed it in December, and January became too busy to actually sit down and do much of the art journaling stuff, which breaks my heart because I love it so much. But I do plan to do more spiritual things scrapbooking wise in February. So if you guys want to see that flip through, I will gladly show you. Otherwise, it'd just be something I would do for myself. But yeah, if you ever want to see any of my art journaling endeavors, I put pretty much all of it on Pinterest, so you can always go there. But for today, we're just doing a flip through of these tarot spreads slash junk journal spreads that I made and did in December. So yeah, there's not really much more I have to say for this intro. So anyway, before we get into the bulk of this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up because it helps out me and my channel, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content like this. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. Alright, so this is the cover page of the December tarot journal. So a lot of you, if you've been on my channel for a while, or if you just follow me on other social media platforms like Pinterest or TikTok or just anywhere else, you guys know that I love scrapbooking. It is something that I love doing. I love making junk journals, and yeah, so I decided to get back into it, and I wanted to do it a little bit differently and start making an actual tarot journal. And I want to do sort of a monthly tarot journal sort of thing. Unfortunately, January didn't get one, and that's just because January has been a very chaotic month for me. As I'm filming this, literally this evening, I'm going to a birthday dinner for both my parents since their birthdays are about a week apart in the month of January. So yeah, things have been crazy. But this is the cover page, if you will, for my December tarot journal. So one thing I did, I took some photos in December of some of my decks. These are 3 of my new decks. This one I received around my birthday, this one, and this one also around my birthday, and I just used them for December. So they're not like Christmas gifts, but they exist. So Anywho, I decided to take some of the photos that I had from a photo shoot I did. I put a lot of these on my Instagram for Indie Tarot Mystique because I run a tarot business, and so a lot of my photos, like my aesthetic photos of my decks, go there. So if you guys want to follow me there, you can see some of my tarot content. But otherwise, I just kind of kept it more muted, and I did like a little December sort of cover page. I'm not usually one to do a lot of cover pages, but it made sense for the tarot journal aspect. So you might notice that there's tons of other spreads in here, and these are just scrapbook spreads that I do. If you want to see me make any of them, or you want to see any up close, you can find me on Pinterest because I post all of my scrapbook pages on Pinterest. But you can also find it on TikTok too, except I'm not as active over there. But anyway, this is the cover for this. And so as we go through this, I'll just explain some of the spreads. I'll explain why I chose to put certain things in the tarot journal and not others. This is not a like full comprehensive idea of what I do as far as my tarot journey goes throughout a month. I do a lot of tarot spreads, and I don't take pictures of all of them, nor do I journal about all of them, but this should give you an idea of some of the things I do. And it did sort of fall off toward the end of the month as Christmas and the holiday season just sort of sprung up, and I was super busy, so I didn't do everything or put every spread in this journal. But we'll go ahead and jump right in. So there is some nudity in some of these cards. That's just how tarot is, so apologies for that. But this is my deck interview of the Fedor Pavlov tarot. Now, I actually did this deck interview on camera. So these are the photos that I already showed on camera. I had my thoughts in person, well, not in person, but just like out loud to the camera, and I filmed the whole thing. So I didn't film this spread, I did film the making of it, which you can find on my Pinterest, but I filmed the actual interview process. So if you want to see that, I'll leave it in the cards. I'll also leave the link to that video in the description if you want to see the deck interview process. But this is just my aesthetic way of commemorating that spread or remembering it, jotting it down for future purposes. I almost always put my deck interviews in some written format, whether it be like something pretty like this or whether it just be quick notes, because I don't want to forget what I asked the deck, and especially if there's like a long period of time between using a deck, I want to know what that deck likes to talk about and its zodiac sign and like all the good stuff. So for this one, I have like my questions were like, describe yourself. I have like what are you here to teach me? Some final thoughts. Like there's a lot that's happening here that is directly tied to my interview method when it comes to decks. And the zodiac sign, of course, for this particular deck. So I'm not going to spend too long on this page because mostly you've already seen this process in another video, or you can go see that process in another video, but I did take some aesthetic photos. I put an aesthetic photo of the back of the deck here. I added more of this gold foiling since the deck has gold foiling on the sides, and I just tried to make it look very like elegant but also vintage because that's what the deck feels like to me. But aside from the deck interview there, I actually have another deck interview here. I wrote the title of the deck wrong. I wrote Cats Rule the World, but it's actually Cats Rule the Earth. That's the tarot deck that I got. This deck is more of a novelty deck, in my opinion. It's definitely strange, but I received it as a gift, and it's honestly a pretty decent deck. I can go into that another date talking about the decks I got over the holiday season if you guys are interested, but this was the deck interview for that. So I did this deck interview very closely to the time that I did the Fedor Pavlov tarot deck interview. And so here, you know, I just have, it's a bit more chaotic, there's a bit more paper action, I guess, on this one, a little less white space, but I did the same interview questions and I pulled like all the cards. There are 7 cards here, though normally I would pull about 6 cards, and then also a card for the zodiac sign. So this is my cat deck. I haven't really worked with it much since getting it. I did the deck interview, I've done a couple readings with it, which you'll see as we go on, but I haven't really worked with it a ton throughout the month of December. And I'll show you the deck that I worked with the most, or the decks I worked with the most throughout the month of December, but this wasn't really one of them, though it did get a spot in the tarot journal because I did the interview with it and I wanted to jot down the interview, what I learned about this deck, and what it means to me. So like this deck, for example, it focuses a lot on independence. It's not really great at letting things go, so it's not the kind of deck that you want to use when it comes to like letting like if you get hurt by someone, you know, it's not a forgiving deck by any means. It's more of a deck about like owning yourself, owning your power. Really values inner strength. It told me it was a Leo, which is hilarious. I actually didn't take it seriously at first, and so I kept pulling the strength card over and over again, which is hilarious to me. Sometimes when my decks give me something that feels like, okay, you're joking with me, like you're not actually a Leo. That's too ironic considering you're a cat deck. But it tossed out the strength card and I was like, no, I'll put it back, we'll try again. And it tossed it out 3 times total before I was like, okay, fine, you're a Leo. But with the interview process, it makes sense a lot too. No, it wants you to own your successes and it doesn't want you to feel beat down by the world. And so it's a very uplifting deck, all things considered, even though it can be a little like harsh at times. But again, I didn't work with it too much, so it's kind of hard to give like an overall review of it over December because I only did a couple spreads with it. So moving on to the next page, this is a little half page, but this was a spread I did around the beginning of December with my traditional RWS deck, and this is what the spread looked like. So I have all these cards here. The way that I set it up, I believe, is I did the first 4 cards for the reading, so that was the reading itself, and then I asked for 3 pieces of advice, and then I had the shadow card. And this reading was sort of tumultuous. This deck is very harsh with me, and I was actually going through some career troubles and concerns, and so that definitely touched me in a way because I was in a place in December where it sort of felt like my career was sort of hazy. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what to do moving forward, and you know, like not having like financial security sometimes is, or all the time I would say, is pretty daunting. So that got to me, but I went ahead and journaled about it a little bit, and I did more work with this deck because this is my career deck. It's my Capricorn deck. He was my first ever deck. He's always been there for me through the hardship. And it was something that was really nice to just be able to do. This paper here, I believe, goes into the exact cards a bit more, but it's just, yeah, it's just kind of right there. So that goes into more of this spread. This was a very big spread, probably one of the most notable ones that I did in December. So I don't want to go too deep into it because, you know, these things can be very personal, but yeah, it's been interesting, and it prompted a lot of journaling sessions from me afterwards because I did feel a little lost in December. However, moving on, we have more of that cat spread. So I did like a daily reading at one point with the Cats Rule the Earth tarot, and so these are some of the cards I got. It was just a daily tarot pull, as I wrote down here, and I kind of just expressed what was going on, what was happening in my thoughts that day. And it's interesting because I'm reading back on this, and sometimes I feel kind of removed from the situation at hand, but that was a different day, a different time, you know? So, but yeah, that's just a simple daily spread for me. So moving forward, we have a spread with one of my favorite winter decks, and I got these new stickers that have a bunch of crow like themes in them. It's like a sticker book. I'll show it on screen real quick. I got this sticker book for Christmas, and I love it. It has like just tons of like whimsical, magical stickers. Like, I'm obsessed with it. And so it had some of these crows, and I was like, perfect. Like I love the Crow Tarot. I use the Crow Tarot for winter readings like almost all the time. That's why we have a bunch of winter motifs here. I just really, really love this deck for winter. It's a perfect shadow work deck, and it like gave me a perfect shadowy reading, which is so fun. So that's exciting. I'll go into the spread a little bit, but I did journal a little bit for this one and a little off the page as well. Since I knew at that point that I was going to be showing this on camera, I tried not to put too much of my personal life on the page. I do value some sense of privacy, so I did journal about this a little bit more heavily outside of this, but this is the main spread for it. So for those of you who don't know, this is my Crow Tarot deck. I have it over here. Okay, I'm gonna move some of this stuff off to the side. So this is the Crow Tarot. It is so cute. I love the paper stained colors on the borders. It has just these wonderful depictions of crows, and I don't know. This is like my soul deck. I don't know, there's something about it, the way it feels. It's already throwing things at me. And here's the backs. This is like the perfect deck for winter. I love this deck. It can be very harsh, it can be very blunt, it can make you cry, but I wouldn't have it any other way. Like, this deck is amazing. I gush about it all the time. But yeah, I use it a lot during winter, and so it was very prominent in my December readings. But we have this spread here that the deck gave me, and as you can see, it's sort of sad. There's the Ten of Swords, the Devil, the King of Wands reversed, the Ace of Swords reversed, the Fool reversed, and Death. Like, having Death and the Devil in a reading together is already sort of challenging. And on top of that, we have the Fool reversed, we have the Ten of Swords, and it's just like, okay, great, this deck came out fighting, it came swinging, but that is the Crow Tarot for me. And I would have to reread these as well as my journal depictions to even remember why this came up, but again, shadow work deck. This deck forces you to face and confront your fears and your shadows, and that's really important, and I think that's something that's very valuable to do during winter, so I don't particularly mind. But yes, this is what the Crow Tarot does to me. Just so you guys have proof that I'm not crazy, it is kind of harsh and it does punch me in the gut every time, so. So this spread is a bit simpler. As we can see, we had like some crazy stuff happening beforehand, and this one sort of calms down a bit. So this spread was, I feel like it was a bit rushed, if in all honesty. By the end of December, things really started picking up for me, and I do feel like this could have used more of an Amelia flair to it. I'm loving the butterfly holographic stickers. I think I got these from like the dollar store or Walmart or something. I'm liking the gold tape, but I feel like more color could have been added or more just visual interest. But this was a very quick spread. I don't even know what this spread was for. I think I just did a reading with this deck, and I'm going to show you this deck. This is the deck of Luminaries Tarot. If you guys want to see it up close more, I can do a whole thing on my channel, but this is an indie deck that I was waiting for a really long time. It's so beautiful. And anyway, I mean, the colors, like, they look great. I wanted to do a reading with it and just work with this deck in December, and I did a deck interview with it, and the deck came out swinging. It wanted to fight. It was a bit much, and it wasn't really being honest with me. Not like it was being dishonest, but it was kind of being snippy, if you will. I don't know if that's the right word, but this deck was just not having it, and so our deck interview didn't go amazingly. I don't know if you noticed just there, I pulled Death and the Devil. I didn't mean to, and I think I lingered on the Tower. Yeah, it's right there. I lingered on all those. This deck just has it out for me. I don't know why. I'm not trying to land on any specific card. It has it out for me. I don't know what you want me to say. But, yeah, this deck's just, it has a mean streak, but I feel like it's an Aries. It doesn't like that I call it an Aries, so maybe it's not, but I don't know. But yeah, I was trying to work with this deck a little bit, just kind of get to know it, just to kind of work with it, and this is what that spread was. So I'm going to put it back in its box real quick. So this deck, I did this reading with it, and I don't really remember how crazy this reading was. I know we have the Eight of Wands reversed. We have the Hanged Man, I think. That's the Eight of Swords. We have Eight of Swords reversed. We have Strength. We have the Wheel of Fortune reversed. I mean, there's some weird things happening in this spread. I don't even remember what it was about. We have the Tower reversed as my shadow card. But I felt like this reading was, I think at the time I felt like it wasn't totally accurate, and I think it's because I need to work more with this deck. I really need to do a tarot in practice, like a sole focus, devote all my attention to this deck for a while, but it's something I kept putting off. But overall, this reading was, you know, sort of dramatic, but not crazy, not as dramatic as the Crow Tarot's reading. And I feel like it helped, but it also left more questions than I originally started with. Like, I left the reading questioning more than I did when I entered the reading. I don't know if that makes any sense. Now, one thing I didn't do was show the readings with this deck. I did try to photograph it a couple times. This is the gold foil tarot. I tried to photograph the readings that I got with this deck, but because of the gold foiling, which you'll see it on the cards, it made it extremely hard to put it on camera. So here are the backs. I'm going to try to like move them around so you can see the gold. And the fronts are a lot like this. Like, it's just really, really shimmery. So it's really hard to, like, look at that. It's crazy. It's really hard to photograph it. And I did quite a few readings with this one in December. I think between this and the Crow Tarot, these are the decks I used the most during December, which this is to be expected, but this one surprised me. I was surprised that I kept gravitating towards this deck. And it is such an amazing deck. It reads so well. We didn't even have to like spend too long bonding. Like, this deck just clicked for me. And I am obsessed with it. It is such a good reader. It shuffles beautifully. Like, I just want to show you because this is crazy. Like, I can't bridge, but if I was going to learn to bridge, I would bridge with this deck. It is phenomenal for shuffling. So the cardstock is just really flexible. I was kind of worried it'd feel like plastic because my friend told me it might. This was a gift from my friend, but it doesn't feel like that at all. And okay, that's interesting. Fool on top, Magician on the bottom. That's funny. But yeah, I love the black on the sides. It's a really great deck. It looks beautiful. It's amazing. But the reason I didn't include it in my journal, in my scrapbook for December, is because it just doesn't photograph well because of the shimmer, and it was so hard to take pictures of it. I do have one picture of it in my tarot journal, and that's this one right here. So there is a photo of it, but it was so hard to get even that, and so that's why it's not depicted here. But I used the gold foil tarot so stinking much in December, and I should have taken more photos of the readings, especially because a lot of them were daily readings. I did a couple big ones, but it was really hard to photograph it, so I ended up just not doing that. So yeah, these were some of the decks that I used the most. I did use the Cats Rule the Earth Tarot as well as the Fedor Pavlov, but out of all the decks that I worked with the most in December, it would have been these three. And yeah, so that's a quick look at my tarot journal for December. I'm hoping, at least for February, because January sort of became too busy, but I'm hoping for February to do a few more spreads. I've only done, let's see, 1, 2, 5 pages, technically 6 spreads because I did these two separately, but I would like to do more than that. I think it is kind of challenging because I do have to print off this stuff, but it's still fun, and I love journaling and I love scrapbooking, and I needed a way to be able to get my thoughts on a page and feel inspired, especially because I was dealing with a lot of like creative blocks towards the end of November. So hopefully that gets better when February comes. But yeah, if you guys like this, be sure to let me know, and I will show you more tarot journal stuff. And if you want to see other decks up close, let me know. I am considering doing it, especially a tarot in practice with this deck, because I absolutely love this deck, but it doesn't love me. So I want to do a tarot in practice with it. But yeah, let me know, and that concludes this. Alright, so that was the entire flip through of these spreads I did in December. If you guys want to see any more tarot related content, please leave comments down below letting me know that. Sometimes I'm unsure of what you guys actually want to see, but at the same time I also tend to just make a bunch of stuff because I feel like it and we just see what happens. But anyway, thank you again for watching today's video. I really appreciate it, and until next time, I will catch you later.